Hey, Glue Troopers, Max and Max's models here. Got late starting the Tarbis, so it's 8:30 at night, and I'm just wrapping up, so it's just about dinner time. So, anywho, real quick, I did another circuit board, and unfortunately, I had a couple of burn throughs on this one. So I had one that went bad, then I had one that worked, and then another went bad. Now I had bought some additional supplies for soldering today. I got some of the tin and uh, the wire copper mesh sponge brush thing that goes in to help clean it in the brush. It was a little kit, and so I tinned the tip, and most of the soldering welds did go okay. I did find out the solder I'm using does have the rosin inside interior, so it's good solder. I'm not sure what happened. I was pretty militant about cleaning the tip between about every second solder, and then would dip just a tip of the tinning in there to so I could get a solder ball on the tip, and it would go right on. But there were a couple of them that when I touched the solder to it, it just seemed like it almost disappeared or it wouldn't wick in. It wanted to ball up on the top, and I wasn't using to. I'm just not really sure. Some of them went fine, but this is the second time I've had trouble with, of all things, what should be the easiest one to solder, and that was the power cable for the battery. Um, because obviously I'm very disappointed by the result. I have one more of these little circuit boards. I'm going to try same thing. I'm going to try it again tomorrow. And at one point, it was working with one of the LEDs would come on, but the other one wouldn't. And I think I may have accidentally broken a transistor. I bent it in kind of an odd shape when I was putting it on. So I've got to be more careful about I take make sure that put the wire through, bend them down, make sure that uh, the little helping hands are everything's squared away before you start putting pressure on it. I think I did it without those and pushed, and I didn't realize I was pressing down on the table and it bent it. So because some of these things like the transistors, which are the little tripod things that stand up on it, they're actually pretty exposed and kind of delicate. I was very disappointed uh, when I went back and tried the power cable. The positive power cable was uh, it was getting a little power, but then I noticed it didn't. The solder didn't look good when I picked it up. It kind of just popped loose, was wiggling free. So of course I cleaned it and tried to resolder it, but that gave me the burn through. It just these little tiny bit on these circuit boards, these little tiny bits of copper they put down, they're not real tolerant, and you don't have a lot of time. I just don't quite understand because I put everything in place, got a good a good heat transfer. I touched the solder to it. It started melting right away, but it just didn't wick out like it was supposed to. So I guess practice makes perfect. I'd like to do that before I do the one on the NX01 lighting board because these have been good to train on. I'm I'm a little disappointed. I'm not like heartbroken or anything, but it's always a bummer because yesterday I got the one to work and like, hey, you got one working, so you got it down, man. But then you come right around and get one that only kind of half works, and then when you try to fix it, and I actually didn't work at all for a second. So I had like a couple of cold solders and cold joints. So I went and touched them up, and then one of them lit up. But then, of course, like I mentioned, big gorilla hands and delicate electronics. So I'll keep plugging away. I think I might want to get into lighting some of my kits because I got to admit it really does look good. Um, although I'm starting to remember why I quit doing it. But you know what? That's model building, right? So I also need to get to work on this Betty for the Tamiya build. Now, one other thing I did today was, unfortunately, I'm going to go pick my C57D up from the hobby shop. My friend was not able; his cutter wasn't big enough to go around it and cut it out the center section to make the simulator. So I was like, okay, I'll make another way. And I really didn't like the way the foam board box was going to look. It was just too much of a box. And then I got an idea. The simulators have rounded curved sides. I was like, wait a minute. An idea I had for a Star Trek bridge a long time ago was get a nice big round piece of Tupperware, cut out the top, and make that as a shell to go around it. And I told my wife, where can we get Tupperware? Well, she just bought a batch with these different sizes, and it wasn't expensive. She just picked one. So brand new unused Tupperware bowl. And first I cut out the bottom, and that didn't really leave enough room to look down in. Although the size was about right, I was like, no, I want something a little more. So there was another area that I cut it around. And by the way, this was extremely difficult to cut. I tried using a circle cutter, no joy. Just that Tupperware is too resilient. Wound up doing the bottom out with a X-Acto knife very slowly and carefully, and that was difficult. So when it came time to do the other one, I was like, there's no way I'm cutting around this big thing with an X-Acto knife. So out came the Dremel, and Speed 6 was, I did a couple of test cuts, and it actually worked very, very well. So I'm going to put this is supposed to be like a training simulator that the guys would go in like for the train for mission, but it would be like what I think of the biosphere. They'd be in there for a long time, like a month or two. So I want to put an upper observation deck with the dome over it where, instructors and the chain of command can watch how they perform and everything over the long term. And then, of course, have computers on the ground. Of course, they'll be up on stilts. But anyway, that's the plan right now anyway. So we'll see you guys later. You take care of yourselves, and as always, model on. Oh, guys, there's one thing I forgot. A little confession here. I had arranged all of my parts in advance so I wouldn't get them mixed up, but somehow I still managed to grab the wrong resistor and solder it into place. When I realized what I'd done, of course, I had to desolder it and resolder it, and of course, all that extra time on the board only contributed to the burn through. So that was a management and organization issue. Despite having laid everything out in advance, I'm not exactly sure where I went wrong. I thought I was being careful. The resistors do look almost identical. I'll try not to make that mistake again tomorrow. Take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.